Okay, welcome back. So we've this is the second part of the online lecture for week 7. So I've already spoken to you a bit about assignment 1, reminder about assignment 1, the news writing test, and we're talking about assignment 2, the critical analysis of a news story and the log. So we've spoken about what the critical analysis should include. I'll just pop myself into the corner down there, and we've got to this point. Where we're just talking about things that you should really include with your assignment for assignment 2. And I've mentioned there is a submission template. So all of this is laid out. There's a box for each of these things. So if you use the submission template, you won't go wrong. So, but just a reminder of what needs to be in there. Just move that on. So with the submission template, we'll ask you to provide basically an image, a PDF or a JPEG of the print version of the story that you choose. Remember, you're choosing a single story by a single publisher, then comparing and contrasting how they treated it in print, online, and on social. So you'll take the print version, you'll take a picture of it, and you'll paste that picture into the submission template. You then need to provide a link to the online version. And then links or screen grabs of the social media posts relating to the story. So that way, when you submit it, I can see what it is that you were looking at, because by the time I'm looking at it, or whoever's marking it is looking at it, it could become difficult for us to find what you were looking at. So I want to see what you were looking at, what you're analysing. Once you've provided all that, the picture, the link, and maybe the screen grabs of the social media posts, that's when you then write your 800-word critical evaluation. And that's looking at how the story was handled in print compared to online, compared to social media. And don't forget the reference to academic literature. So it's not just your personal opinion. I want to see that you are taking into account what other people have said about the issues you've identified. So what do they say in the academic literature about the use of social media as a way of engaging with audiences? What do they say about the way that web headlines are different to print headlines? What do they say about writing style? Is web writing more longer, or is it shorter? Do they use different styles? And you can then use that research to illustrate the story you have chosen to analyse. When you're using academic literature at university, you need to use the Harvard referencing system. So you need to reference your sources correctly. If you don't know about Harvard referencing, have a look on the module on Blackboard, and there's a guide to Harvard referencing on there. It's just a specific way, like a formula for providing references in academic writing. So don't be intimidated by it. It sounds a bit scary if you're not used to it. Don't worry, it's not scary. It's just about learning a basic code where you have a uniform format for providing the name of an author, the date that it was published, and how do you then reference that to a bibliography at the end of your work. Have a look at the guide that I provided on Blackboard and you'll be fine. It's bibliography. So I've just taken an example of a story. So you can see here I've used the submission template. I've chosen a story from The Sun, which we'll probably look at in the workshop, which is quite a funny story which they did about somebody who ended up injuring their bottom after they tried to set a firework off from between their arse cheeks. So I've taken their front page because that's where the story appeared in print, and there it is. You can see on that second page. Beneath that is a link to the online version. And then, so there's the link there, and then I got a screen grab of a tweet that The Sun put out. I've then written an 800-word analysis. I've just used dummy copy in there, but it's an 800-word analysis looking at the way that they did things differently between these different stories. They used different headlines. The writing style was quite different. The online version was able to contain video, of course, which they couldn't in print. The social media present was much more kind of pithy and witty and tried to engage the reader's interest. So had a different approach again, and obviously it contained a link to go back to the web version because they wanted to drive the audience back to the web version. So I looked at all of those things, and then I read some books about it and looked at what some of these experts have said about print headlines compared to web headlines. and the use of social media. And so I included some of those references in my analysis, and then I cross-referenced those to a full bibliography to say exactly what books I'd looked at. So that allowed me to then fill in the submission form. So this second assignment also includes a second element. In addition to the critical analysis, it asks you to fill out a log. And that's very straightforward. It's asking you to fill in a log which just recognises at least three other news stories you've read. I just want you to show that you've been reading news stories, because what I've been saying since week one is the best way to improve your news writing is to read news stories. So I just want you to tell me about some of those stories that you've read. So you'll read 3 further news stories, and and within the log on the submission template, you will give me a link to those stories, and you'll just give me a couple of sentences about those stories, just telling me about the stories. It's not a full-up critical analysis as it is for the main one that you choose. You're just going to write a couple of words, just summarising the story. Just tell me what you've noticed about those stories. And then you'll also provide a link about watching a council meeting. So let me tell you a bit about this. With the council meeting element, you will click on one of the links that I provide to either Salford City Council or Manchester City Council, and you'll watch a council meeting. Now, these are little bit different at the moment. Quite a lot of these are held online, but they have a page where they provide webcasts of council meetings. So I just want you to have watched a council meeting. I don't care really which council meeting you watch. That's not important. The important thing is you just get a taste of what it's like to cover a council meeting. So I want you to choose a council meeting from one of the websites, and the link will come up in a minute, and it's also on Blackboard. Watch it, and I just need you to identify what are the key issues that were discussed, and then I want you to identify some follow-up ideas. So again, the template, the submission template, gives you a box to fill in for each of these. So if you follow the submission template, it's very clear what you need to do. So I just need you to watch a council meeting, basically summarise what happened, and then suggest a couple of follow-up ideas. It doesn't have to be detailed follow-up ideas. Just have a think about what would you do once you came out of that council chamber and in real life, and what stories would you be looking to follow up. This year, you need to be watching webcasts. You can't go live because of social distancing rules. Alongside the webcast, the video of the council meeting, you'll find the documents are also attached on the council website. So have a look at those documents. Again, just want you to become familiar with what council meeting documents look like, which is important. There's links to the webcast, so you can either do that on the Salford City Council website or on the Manchester City Council website. Those links are in on Blackboard, or you can come back and look at these slides and use these links. They're also on the template, so you're able to just click through and watch a council meeting, summarise it in the template, and then also provide your story ideas after that. So that's how it looks on the submission template. You'll see here you've got a brief of what you're supposed to be doing. You'll summarise the 3 stories, 3 extra news stories. So there's a link, the date that it was published, and just a brief summary of what that story was about. Again, link, date, summary, link, date, summary for the 3 stories. And in the council meetings, you'll say when you watch the meeting, you'll say what date the meeting took place. You'll provide a link to the particular meeting you watched. You'll fill in a box to summarise the key points that were discussed at the meeting, and then you'll suggest a couple of follow-up ideas down here. Just have to be a brief, just a 1-sentence follow-up idea. So if they've been talking about potholes, you could talk about maybe trying to find out about how many potholes, how much money is being spent on potholes. You could look for campaign groups which are seeking to get potholes fixed. You could think about follow-up ideas in terms of finding out what the damage is being done. Talk to motoring organisations, safety organisations, anything like that. Just think around the subject and think, well, what else could I say beyond what was said in the council meeting? And that's how it all ends up looking. Ta-da! There it is. So you end up with a submission template where you put your name on the front page. You've provided a print, online, and social version of the story that you've chosen. And as I've stressed, it's a story that you choose. So don't get worried about which story. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of stories to go and choose from. So if one isn't working out for you, just find another story. As long as it's print, online, and social by the same publisher, you're fine. So a critical analysis where you look at the key issues that story has raised and relate it to the academic literature with a bibliography. Then just mention just briefly 3 other news stories, and then just record which council meeting you watched and your follow-up ideas down here. So that's how your submission template will end up looking, and then you submit that as a Word document, and you end up submitting that to the assignment to submission folder. There are detailed briefs on this. You don't have to remember it all from me barking it down through my laptop at you. All of this information is in the assignment briefs, and these are on Blackboard. So they are set out to try and help you. As I say, the assignment brief, the submission template, which is on Blackboard, also helps guide you. But don't worry about it. Read the assignment briefs. It sets it out step by step exactly what you have to do for each of these assignments. If you've read the assignment briefs and you still don't get it, drop me a line and I'm more than happy to explain it. But make sure you've read the assignment brief first. If you come to me and you haven't read the assignment brief, I'll push you back there and say, well, read that and now tell me what you don't understand. Okay, so that's the assignment. So I'm going to finish this section of the video at this point, and then I'll move on in the next video to talk about the converged newsroom. So I'll see you in a moment for a further section of this lecture.